One new Decepticon city, Plasticon, can transform into an incredible battle station.
Transform the Protectobots!
But the Protectobots can transform into Defensor. But Plasticon can transform again into a dinosaur.
The Transformers, batteries included from Hasbro.
Protectobots, Hotspot, Streetwide, Groove, First Aid and Blades, transform into Defensor!
The year is 1986, and Hasbro's still cranking out Transformers left and right. And then the Protectobots came into the picture. This little team of rescue Autobots really led the way for other combining units. Although these things were slightly larger than most of your Hot Wheels, they're really cool. With a lot of die-cast, some rubber, and some decent construction, these things really held together. Streetwise being the only police car of the entire unit is a little Nissan or Datsun Z. In Japan, they actually use these for patrol cars. It was a really cool sculpt. This thing was very spot on compared to other toys of the time. Rolling very, very well on its little plastic tires. It's kind of a cool little car. Transformation on this guy is fairly simple. You pull it apart and flip out the legs. Then you would go up and pull up the hood and collapse it on itself. Pulling out the little arms and then folding down the entire robot chest. This guy actually had a pretty cool stance. Although half the diecast was hidden from the plastic chest, it looked really, really cool. The entire robot itself didn't have much kibble, although you can see where the die-cast construction really paid off when it came to the design of this guy. Moving on to our little friend here, First Aid, he was a little Toyota ambulance. In Japan, they actually use these little ambulances for rescue vehicles, and the sculpting, pretty spot on. It rolled very well on little plastic wheels. Transformation's fairly simple though. You pull up its windshield, pull it apart, flip out the legs, pull out the little arms, and then you were pretty much done. The sculpting of the robot was done very, very well, with the die-cast chest and the entire stance just kind of balanced. It didn't really look like it really would fall over very well, and it doesn't. Unfortunately, it does have a windshield on its back. Moving on to Groove, he is a little motorcycle, Harley. This little Harley has a lot of chrome, and most people would remember these things from the little show called Chips. Although he rolled and wobbled very, very well, he's a very cool robot. Flipping out the seat and splitting the seat in half and clipping them down, that would form the feet. Pulling up the two little chrome bits, folding down the entire front and collapsing up against its back, build up a little successful robot. Unfortunately, he did have a tire stuck between his legs. The back of the motorcycle looked really cool though. It was kind of neat how the handlebars and everything just held off onto the back. Moving on to Blades. He was a really cool little rescue helicopter. He was a Huey. Most people remember seeing these from the Vietnam age. Although the sculpting was not lacking one bit on it. Blades would move very, very well, and the blades would not collapse very easily. Simple transformation when it comes to collapsing down the main prop, splitting the tail, pushing the tail into its little slots, pulling the legs out, pulling out the arms, and then flipping back the entire cockpit, made a successful little robot. It's kind of silly how he actually had his landing gear stuck to the top of his arms. Although the blade on the back could be folded up around the back of the cockpit, it just really looked kind of silly. Moving on to Hotspot. He is a fire rescue vehicle. A very, very cool fire truck, indeed. These things were used in Japan. That's why the wheels and everything were kind of set silly on this thing. Most people would think, oh, that's not what you would see in America. Well, obviously it isn't, because it was Japanese. The sculpting and detail of this thing was not left out at all. Although it was kind of cool that they put so much detail into him. He does roll very well, having rubber tires, and he actually has a nice aesthetic and heft to him. The cool thing is the length of the ladder. The ladder on this thing is amazingly long. It's crazy how long the ladder is on this thing, because there's no other Transformer in the entire Transformer universe that has a ladder as long as this one's. It's kind of cool how it has little nozzles molded into the tip of the ladder itself. And it actually collapses and puts away very nicely. Transformation is very simple. You just pretty much pull up the ladder portion and flip it back around. Pull out its legs, splitting them apart, splitting the entire cab in half, pushing down on little tabs to push out the little hands, flipping up the die-cast chest, and then push down the spring up the head. Made a very successful yet bulky robot. This thing looked really menacing, and it really still had a nice stance for a leader. Although this guy actually had a lot of sculpting, he did not have much kibble hanging off of him. He was very, very well compact and worked very well for the time. The entire head sculpt of this guy is superb. Sadly, the only thing detailed is the eyes, but don't let that throw you off. The entire group as a whole is well worth your money. These guys are really rare and hard to find, especially as a complete set. The entire group as a whole, though, color-wise, really worked. Everything was spot on and did not clash with each other. Although there was a little bit of orange on blades, it kind of bled off into the other ones in the robot modes. So the entire color palette itself worked very, very well. And when it comes to Hotspot, yes, he does have a third mode. Third mode is simple. You push his fists back up, flip down the head, pull out the legs, and pretty much make him do the splits. Move the arms up, and then flip up the ladder. Then pushing on little nozzles and pushing on the little bitty chest plate bits onto the legs, and stick a couple guns on the sides. Made a nice repair bay. The repair bay was really cool. It didn't lack one bit in detail. They did a lot of time in constructing a third mode for this guy, because this guy has ability to plug in the Metroplex. We'll see that in a different video. Transformation into combination mode is really cool. Pretty much spin around the entire back of the ladder and fold it against its back. Then you would fold down the arms, push the feet back down, peg the arms into the provided holes, take the legs and accordion them out, flip down the chest portion, and then take the provided crotch piece part and slot it in. This can be kind of difficult, so take your time. And then taking both chest parts, plug it into the 4 holes on the chest. Then moving on to Groove, we're pretty much going to put him almost totally into bike mode, folding up the seats and the arms. and then pushing the wheel back up against the seat. Then we'll take a provided foot pad and plug it into the bottom. First aid is fairly simple. Put him back into his little van mode, and then we will push a little foot pad onto his back. Streetwise, we put him back in car mode. It's fairly simple to do, although it can be tricky at times, so take your time when transforming these guys. And then, obviously, pull out the little peg for its arm, and push a fist into the back. Blades is pretty much the same thing, although you do want to push the head down before you close up the cockpit, and apply a fist. When it comes to putting the pegs in, groove is probably the hardest because his head does move back and forth quite a bit. Although it is a nail biter, putting these peg holes in some of these slots provided. Although this is one of the drawbacks of the entire group, it is one of the things that makes the entire group shine. And then pull back the ladder, flip up the head, and push it back up against its back. Revealing the mighty Defensor. This guy is one of the most iconic Autobot combiners. Although he has a lot of vehicles just kind of hanging off of him, he does look very cool and very menacing, and pulls off a very nice looking gestalt. This thing has seen a lot of knockoffs in the past. It also has weapons that make it look a lot more menacing. And the detail of the back is not actually lost at all. Although it does have a ladder hanging off the back, the ladder can kind of provide balance because he is kind of back heavy at times. But the biggest thing we like about this guy is not really the posability he has, although he can turn his head unlike most gestalts, is the simple fact that you can scramble city. You can take any scramble city and plug it into these guys. You can switch their legs and switch their arms into any combination you see fit. And he is a really cool addition to anybody that collects Generation 1, or anybody that really likes rescue vehicles. The entire group as a whole, though, maybe a little shorter than most of your mainline combiners, he's still really cool. And during Operation Combination, he did get a repaint, but it's very rare to find. Basically, Hotspot got a repaint as red and blue. So I hope you guys found this interesting, and I hope it helped you out with the choices you make in the future when it comes to collecting your Transformers. Oh, and did I mention there's a G2 version that Hasbro never released? You'll have to see that in one of my other reviews. Micromaster City is under attack again by Megatron and his minions. Who saves the day? The Protectobots. These little guys will help anybody out who needs rescuing. These 5 little rescue vehicles will form into Defensor. I, Defensor, will save the day. Protectobots, brought to you by Hasbro. Some assembly required.